fight fans, to episode 20 of the Hudson MMA podcast. We've got an action-packed episode for you guys for our 20th. 3 guests on tonight's card, so let's get right into those introductions. We've got Mariusz, the Iron Pole, Ksiazkiewicz. He's an 8-0 middleweight fighter fighting out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. He was born in Germany, but he honors that Polish roots of his with his nickname. He's undefeated and fighting Tuesday night on the Dana White Contender Series main event versus Mario Souza. You'll want to tune in for that one in his attempt to go 9-0 and get that UFC contract. Next up, we've got Gustavo Lopez. He's a bantamweight fighter fighting this Saturday on the UFC Fight Night in Vegas versus Anthony Burchak. So you want to tune in Saturday because we got another Hudson alum, Tanner the Bulldozer Bozer. And finally, but certainly not last, we've got a hometown favorite, the handsome Scott Hudson. He's 11-5-1 welterweight from the Steel City. He's at XFC 43 next Wednesday, November 11th, Remembrance Day. So make sure to tune in and town favorite of ours. Sliding right into the hot headline news, we're breaking down the Hall and Silva fight last Saturday night, talking about what went down and what happened next, might happen next for some of these fighters. And then heading right into easy lines, getting ahead of that book. We've got a big fight night this Saturday night. The headline is Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. And then, of course, our boy, Mr. Bulldozer, the co-main event. He's going against the legend, Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky. So we hope he takes him down in devastating fashion with another knockout so he can go 3-0 in a short little stint since the summer. So kicking things off, we've got hot headline news, and we've got Adam Davidson up.
Thanks, Ben. UFC Fight Night, Hall versus Silva on the weekend. Uriah Hall beat Anderson Silva by a TKO of round 4. Bryce Mitchell had a decision win over Andre Fili. Greg Hardy had a TKO over Maurice Green in round 2. Kevin Holland had a round 1 submission over Charlie Antiveros. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Which was a weird slam, but we thought he broke his neck, but apparently he's all right. And Thiago Moses decision win over Bobby Green. What highlights do you guys want to bring up?
Yeah, I'll quickly jump in there. Overall, pretty good card considering, Silva and his age and headlining. But obviously there's no way to go out of the UFC without headlining a card, even if it's just a fight night. The card was pretty good. Alexander Hernandez looked good on the undercard. He's back in the win column. Great finish. I was pretty impressed with Greg Hardy as well. We talked to Tanner Bozer last week, and he had said that guy makes leaps and bounds between training camps, and he expected him to win, and he did. He looked really good. He cleans things up pretty quickly, and he's going to be somebody that's going to contend here. He's going to get a big name next, and we'll see how he does. Bryce Mitchell, he's been on a roll in the UFC. He's still undefeated. Feely's not a guy to overlook, and he didn't, and it was a good fight. His takedown defense was really good, but Bryce Mitchell, deserves somebody within that top 10 next. And it was tough to see Silva lose, especially, being in the fight. There weren't a ton of strikes thrown, but he was in the fight. But, age has caught up to him. The problem is I think he won't fight in the UFC again, but I think he's going to fight somewhere else in Bellator. He seems still motivated to fight. I still think he has the right skill. But Conor McGregor actually said it best. I actually agree with him, even though I don't agree with him all the time. The fact that you just need to find the right competition. You may not want to give up fighting. You can always fight. You just have to fight the right competition. I think the competition in the UFC is too high for him right now at his stage of his career. he could definitely fight somebody that's a little older in Bellator and fight a few more times. So I expect that to happen, and I'll still look forward to that because he still is a legend, and I still think he could get a win against somebody on that same level as him somewhere else.
Yeah, very well put, Zone. Honestly, I was about to send a text to all you guys or through the messenger or whatever. Right before he got knocked down the first time, I was going to be like, man, he can't retire. He still got it. And then he got obviously cracked with a good one. But right up until that point, he was winning that fight. And he was doing pretty good. And he was showboating. He was being aggressive like Anderson used to. He didn't play that same game that he has been for the last little bit of like backing up to the fence and, you know, showing how good at dodging punches he is. He brought the action to Hall, who's not the easiest guy to bring the action to. He looked good. Is just, you know, he's just up there in age. His chin's not the same as what it used to be.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think if I were to put money on it, I definitely say he's going to take some fights in Bellator. I think there's a couple of different matchups in there that might look good. I was just kind of thinking about it very quickly. Lyoto Machida, is he still with Bellator right now and everything?
They're like best friends though.
Oh, true. So that can happen. What else? Or what other matchups could they make in Bellator for him right now? You think?
I don't know. They could put him in for a lot of stuff. Like he's a big enough name. They could put him right in against Moose or somebody like that, and then Mousasi probably would take that fight because who else does he have to go against right now?
That's pretty interesting right there. I mean, I would say Mousasi is probably going to be able to beat him, maybe not easily, but technically you would think. But at this point in their careers, right? But
I think you could even like bring in Fedor or something and
that would be sick.
Do a light heavyweight a light heavyweight fight, a 205 fight, and I can guarantee you, Fedor could make that. That would who wouldn't watch that? It's fantastic.
I don't even think Silva would care about the cut. He would probably fight him just at an open weight fight.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. But that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Speaking of UFC fight night, did we go 5 for 5 on easy lines or what?
Actually, well, yeah, in total with the over unders and everything, I went back and looked at it. We were 8 for 8, and actually, which is pretty crazy. So I'll get into that a bit later, but yeah, like I hope you guys
open up those stats.
Anyone, exactly. Hope everyone got on the easy train last week because it was looking pretty good. So
we might want to get into that now.
I just want to fans.
Might have took those winnings and bet on Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
Well, the popular vote was easy money for before it started, but I think it was like a minus 1,000. I think on Bet365 or something. So
wow.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Last night Trump was heavy favorite to win money line, so took Biden and then woke up and the odds had flipped because the mail-in started getting counted. So
well, they must not have read Trump's Twitter because he claimed he won already.
Yeah, he forgot that 25 million actually mailed in their votes because there's a pandemic.
They're all fake anyways. Fake news.
Marty, fake newsman.
That's the thing. Yeah, Trump's got Colby on his side, so that's all.
And man, I saw a hilarious tweet that Ben Askren responded to, and somebody was like, Ben, you may be the reason that Trump gets elected. He's like, if you don't get knocked out with a flying knee, Jorge never gets to meet Donald Trump. He never talks to the Hispanic community in Miami, and Trump never gets those votes. You won Trump the election. And he's like, I hope this is true. That'd be amazing.
Butterfly effect.
That's pretty wild.
So Ben Askren
getting back on track.
Yeah, one thing I want to bring up, we all know here at Hooks In how Dana White likes to hold grudges, and I thought it was kind of weird that Uriah Hall, maybe one of the biggest wins of his career, and Dana White right away just blasts him for being a boring fighter, and he came back and made a good point. Uriah, he said that at least he finished Anderson Silva. Adesanya couldn't finish him, so it seems weird when Dana White just bashes a fighter after a big win. It can't sit well with one of the fighters, you know.
Yeah, it almost seems like, you know how like fighters are emotional after the fights and they retire, do things like that's what Dana is like in those press conferences. Sometimes I feel like he overreacts so much to whatever happens, or what he believes happened, right? And then he goes back and maybe changes later. But yeah,
he's also hated Hall since the Ultimate Fighter finale because he hyped him up so much. He did that spinning wheel kick to that guy in his tough fight. And then, like, just fizzled out, did literally nothing against Kelvin Gastelum. Dana, like, threw him under the bus, and since then, he's never been able to get back in the good graces for Uncle Dana.
Maybe Dana White had some money on Silva or something.
Yeah, never know. He didn't listen to the easy lines. That was his problem. We should send him a link.
Come on, buddy. On that note, who did listen to the Hooks In podcast over the last few weeks? The UFC. They instituted our idea of the video replay last week. So for anyone who has been listening in, you guys know we've been talking about this. I think it was the Ed Herman fight that really set things off, and obviously didn't come into play Saturday night. But what do you guys think about that rule change, and how do you think it'll play out in future events?
Well, where the fuck's the compensation for Hooks In from the UFC? That's what I want to know.
True.
Forgot to patent it, man. Whose job was that?
I'll take the blame. Over here.
Shoot him.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. It's a must. I think last week I might have brought up to Bozer as well, just on an LFA card, they had live scoring. I don't know if that'll ever get instituted, but I think it's a good idea. Live scoring plus, instant replay equals success in my mind. So I don't know why it hasn't happened, but it looks like they're being progressive and looking to make changes, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, Nevada is anyways.
Oh, is it only for Nevada?
Yeah, they said the Nevada Athletic Commission made that decision, didn't they?
I think so. Well, I think you're right.
They'll eventually follow suit, and as Zone was saying, it's a good decision. Of course, I think it's an excellent sign. Looks like any of the other professional sports leagues. What it takes is something kind of crazy happening or something serious or whatever for them to really take a serious look at it. But sometimes, a lot of the times they don't change, but this time they did, which is a good sign that they're taking it seriously as a sport, and they're obviously investing in the competition and are open to change moving forward, which is a great sign overall for the MMA community and of course the fighters and everyone involved. So good sign, and I definitely think the other states are going to follow suit if they don't already have plans to, right?
It takes a podcast with 20 episodes south of the Skyway Bridge to get it going. But what I will say to Z's point is, with the 10-9 scoring system, when they all adopted, that scoring system, and it was consistent across the states, across the entire country. It wasn't just in one place. They expanded it. Now it's everywhere. I think they'll do the same with this. They can't just have that in one area in Vegas. It needs to be everywhere. So I think it will expand.
Yeah, they'll take a look to see how it works.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they see it works well, they'll implement it. But they got to see it in action, I think, first before you'll see the other states jump on board right away.
For sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they what they decide after reviewing a replay, because Bozer made a good point. Like, you could stop the fight and review something, but the guy, we'll take an example of I forget the fighter, but it was that liver shot, and he said it was a nut shot or whatever.
Oh, Ed Herman.
And like Bozer was saying, like, at the end of the day, both guys are resting up while all this shit's happening, and then all of a sudden you restart the fight, that guy could just come right back and win the fight, right? So is the UFC gonna have harsh penalties for faking an injury, or it'll be interesting to see after reviewing a replay what happens.
I almost want to see it this weekend to see what they do.
Yeah.
I think the whole idea though is, okay, the Herman example, right? It was a full 5 minutes. Hopefully now with the replay, that is drastically cut down so they can say, hey, within 2 minutes, nope, it was a liver shot, keep going. Because that 3 minute difference, let's call it, that's a big, big difference.
Probably do it in less than that even.
Yeah, to your
Yeah.
point, Kronz, they did do it one time, and I can't remember, but Anik said he actually brought it up. He's like, watch the NFL. It takes them 6-7 minutes to come back. You go to commercial, you come back, they're still reviewing it. And they actually looked at something quick, and then they came back after 30 seconds. It was like, nobody does it like we do. And I forget what fight it was. So you're right. It is very, very quick, and it saves the 5 minutes down to a minute.
Yeah, because those refs, they have an eye. They know what they're looking for. Like, they've watched for it their whole lives. So you can pick it out of a video.
Yeah.
They don't need 5 different camera angles.
Yes.
And slow motion.
Think about the NFL example for a quick sec. I think it's in the best interest of NFL to draw that out as long as possible because that's ad revenue.
Oh,
they're almost monetizing these reviews, right? So I mean, yeah, it's an interesting point. That is.
And besides,
but it would be, sorry, I was just going to say it would be ironic if that actually happened in the Bozer fight after we just talked about it. Imagine that came into effect, and he obviously had a point about it, but if that happened, that would be
Arlovsky
nuts.
bites his eye or something in the clinch.
Just bites his eye.
He twists his dick.
Well, the pit bull, so
Yeah.
had to get the name from something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and besides the cutting down on the rest time, like if say they take a point or 2 points away from the round, then that fighter could lose the round as well, right? So
yeah,
totally.
Interesting to see how it works.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I guess, guys, it's time
easy
to make some more money.
lines.
Get ahead
of that book.
Why
go.
wouldn't you?
Lock it in.
Who wouldn't lock it in
D-lock.
after 8 for 8?
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can keep it going this weekend. I mean, it's not quite as deep a card actually as last weekend, but still some pretty good matchups. To kind of start it off, obviously, to kind of just recap last weekend. A lot of success, hoping everyone jumped on that easy line train, as I said before, 8 for 8. Currently, we're sitting at 70 wins and 35 losses with a win rate of a 66.6%. Exactly, actually repeating there. So please hit that like button, share this video with anyone in the MMA community. It really helps our channel, supports our growth, and really allows us to kind of bring you guys better content in the future. So jumping into this weekend, obviously, main event, a light heavyweight fight. Thiago Santos taking on Glover Teixeira. Santos had, fairly heavy favorite at -250, and Glover's a +200. Santos, of course, coming off that amazing performance we all remember against John Jones, which he injured both of his legs. The last 2 or 3 rounds was still having a lot of success against Jones, as much as anyone's kind of had before, which was really impressive. But, that was almost a year and a half ago. After surgery and recovery, he's ready to step back into that ring, or into the octagon, I should say. Glover, though, he's coming off one of his own best performances of his career, actually, earlier this year, which he finished Anthony Smith. You may remember Smith talking about his teeth falling out of his mouth, so he got beat up pretty hard. He's on a 4-fight winning streak himself, seemingly, a career resurgence for himself. He's back in the top 5, but I think it kind of stops here. I'm not going to be laying too hard on this fight just because there's a few unknowns with Santos kind of, back after his injury, which was pretty serious. But, my money is on Santos coming back very strong, obviously very mentally strong. He's a great guy, and I do believe he's going to come back in the same form for this fight and looking sharp. I think Anthony Smith kind of made Glover look a little bit better than he actually is last fight. Santos by finish, -150 looks good to me. I also think the over 2.5 rounds, +120 looks to be a good investment. Don't go too hard on that one. That's a little hard. I can see Santos having an early second round finish there. So mainly the finish. But yeah, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Go ahead, Zone.
I was just going to say I can never disagree with an easy lines. It's 8 for 8, but Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is I don't think this – I don't even know what the numbers are for it, but I don't think this goes 5 rounds. I can't see how it does. Over the 2.5 rounds I could see, but I don't think it goes 5. I can't see the power in these guys taking it to 25 minutes. I just don't. I don't know. I just think Glover's one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. I really do. He's done so much, and he just obviously hasn't won that championship, but he's won 4 in a row, like you said. I'm going to have my own bet on this, but I'm not going to go against what you're saying because, Santos is obviously fantastic, but I just think Glover's underrated, and I don't think it goes 5 rounds. So I'd hop on the over 2.5, but I would say that it won't go the distance.
Zone, I agree with you that he's underrated for sure. But a lot of his, like lately, his equalizer has been getting people to the ground and kind of capitalizing on situations. I just watched the Jan Kudaliba fight just earlier, actually today, and he was getting beat up bad on the feet. It wasn't even close, and he got a lucky takedown there. And I think Santos is too fast and hits way too hard, and Glover's just so slow. I don't think he'll be able to get going. So I think easy locks over there has hit the nail on the head with his call.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, in terms of I don't know, anything else to add there, David, Son, Kronz?
No, I was going to say I'm going full support for easy lines. Obviously, Glover's like a fine ball of wine. He seems to be getting better with age, but I think Santos is just a different animal. I think he's fought way better caliber fighters, and I think hopefully he's healed up from his knee injury. But like Josh was saying, I don't think Glover's going to be able to handle his speed, and good luck taking him down. So I'm going easy lines.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like in terms of Glover and the fine wine, because he's looked in excellent shape, right? He almost looks best shape of his life at 41 years old, right? So that's kind of why I was leaning on that over, only because of that. But that's why this fight has a lot of unknowns, which I'm kind of staying away from, which is why I'm not laying anything too hard on this one. As Zone said, looks to be some value there on Glover because he's underrated, but like I said, I'm still going with Santos to win this at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Next up in the co-main event, we have a heavyweight fight. Our Hudson alum here and fellow Canadian boy, Mr. Bulldozer Sir himself, Tanner Boser, taking on former heavyweight champ Andre Arlovski. Boser is a good size favorite at minus 275 as well, and Arlovski's a plus 225. Arlovski is a ripe age himself at 41, but still putting on good performances in the UFC at this age, right? And seems to have kind of rounded out his game a little bit better last few years of his career. Coming off a decision win against Philip Lins, he looks to stay relevant in kind of the shallow depth of the heavyweight division at this point. Boser, he's a young up-and-comer in the division. He's won 3 of his last 4 fights, or of all 4 of his fights in the UFC thus far, right? His only loss was to Cyril Gane, who some believe could be the future champ someday. He looks very, very strong, so we can't put too much against him for that loss. Of course, I'm going with Boser to win this one. Yes, we might be a little bit biased here, but Boser, has his excellent cardio for a heavyweight and actually goes to decisions. He doesn't actually look gassed in the third, actually, like most heavyweights do. So he's a technical fighter, throws out kicks very, very well, quickly and well timed. I think Boser by decision plus 150 is a good call here. Arlovski's, is a big step up in competition for him, in which I believe, he does succeed, but won't necessarily catch Andre in any type of compromising position. So that's what I'm going with here. But what do you guys think?
I'm right on, locked in with easy lines. Boser by decision. I've never felt anything more inside of my body that is more locked in than that. And I'm serious about that. Boser is not, and he admits this, he's not one of those big heavyweight power punching guys. He's technical, he's precise, and he's efficient. And like the last 2 fights he's had, yeah, he's finished them, but like the level of competition, we always talk about that. Who have you fought? Those guys were decent guys, but they're not a guy that's been around and knows every trick in the book. They're very similar. This is going to be a technical fight, and I think it goes 3 rounds. I would say it's going to be a 29-28 Boser decision. I couldn't agree more with you, Z.
I'm also going to go Boser. I mean, the guy already hates me, so God forbid if I if I pick Arlovsky. But no, I'm thinking Boser takes this, and I think it'd be a big win for him. Arlovsky, he's a legend of the sport. Getting a win over him, I think, puts Boser on the radar a bit more. Even though Arlovsky's obviously not in his prime, but a win over him, I think, would be it would look pretty good on the resume.
Let's throw this out there. He wins this, him and Hardy, early 2021.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Battle of the Titans. Just a little tidbit or insight to share with our fans here on this fight, guys. It's pretty rare that you see a heavyweight fight that is minus odds to go the distance. So it tells you a little bit of something. The stats behind that, Andrei Arlovsky's last 10 fights, only one has not gone the distance, has not got the decision.
That's insane.
So that's a pretty glaring stat. 10% is
What was
finished.
that? His Travis Brown fight?
Rosenstrike, first round knockout. That was the only one. And the rest are all decisions. That dates back to, let's see here, 2017. That 11th fight, he got knocked out by Francis. So, hey, that tells you something, right? And even
Which everyone does.
Yeah, exactly. And we were even talking to Boser. We said, hey, how does this outcome end up happening? And he said, I win by decision. So he called it himself. Z-Ball called it. Zone called it. Adam did. Williams did. I am. It's happening.
Lock of the week. Let's go.
Lock it in. Put 1,000 units on Boser by decision.
Put the mortgage.
Take out that second mortgage. Yeah, exactly. Fucking put it down.
Davidson's actually gonna, take out that new house that he has. He's gonna use that down payment and throw it on Boser.
Probably not. But
yeah.
Yeah, probably just half of it. Plus 150.
Well, I'm not gonna tell you any of my travel stories.
It's a nice way to get an in-ground pool, isn't it, son?
One way to get one.
What else do we got here?
Well, actually, you know what? That was the only two I could put like meaningful amount of research into at this point. I was looking at the Claudia Gadelha fight. She's fight. I don't know how to say this other woman's name.
Please tell me you're on the same ripcord as me, Z, with this fight.
Well, I was going to ask you actually, because I don't know even. I mean, I've seen this Chinese girl like fight once or twice. I saw the Carolina one, I believe, but like I don't know too much about her. I mean, what do you?
Absolutely love her.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think even though it's minus 150, she's like one of my locks. I had a couple spicy plus money fights I wanted to talk about, but she's obviously the favorite. I actually, Josh, I've mentioned her a bunch of times to you. I'm like, watch out for Yan, man. She's legit. I said that to you like earlier on this year, and she just hasn't fought since early 2020. She's fucking good.
Right.
Like she doesn't finish fights, but she's really, really technical. Similar to like a Josh Hill that we've had on the podcast here, like very technical, really good, doesn't put herself in danger and just picks people apart. Gadelha, barely won her last fight, even if she did. And, Angela Hill's now fighting Tisha Torres and might be on a 3-fight losing streak with how skilled Hill is. So I like Yan, the minus 150, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and her your plus 120 by decision.
By decision.
Again, yeah, like that looks pretty
fantastic.
Good. That's unreal because all her fights are already going to decision.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
I don't think, I don't think she's going to be able to finish Claudia, certainly, because this is a step of competition for her, as you said, but, still going to win the fight. So by decision plus 120, you want to parlay that with Boser plus 150. That's looking pretty juicy. So that's a good call there, I think, as well. Yeah, I like that.
Jan's last finish of a fight, there was a no contest in late 2016. But before that, it was April 16th, 2016. So that tells you something. And I do remember that Carolina fight where she just dominated her on the feet and picked her apart.
Yeah, so smart and very technical.
Yeah.
If I could throw in another two, just under the radar fights. So I'm a huge Brendan Allen fan, but I got a bad feeling about this weekend with him. He's undefeated in the UFC. He won his contender fight series over Aaron Jeffrey, fellow Canadian. He barely escaped the last fight against Dawkins. And Heinisch is a step up in competition. I got a bad feeling about that. It's moved up to even money, and Brendan Allen was the favorite. I like Heinisch in this, and I'm just going to say money line. The other one is, this is like a huge value thing that could happen. Heavyweight fight between Alexander Romanov and Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Romanov, his quality of competition is not up there. Rogerio de Lima is he throws some wild stuff. So him by finish is plus 375. It's a big underdog, but I think it definitely could happen. So if you want to juice something up a little earlier on in the card, I'm telling you, man, this guy definitely has the punching power and the kicks. This guy throws wheel kicks. He's a fucking heavyweight. One of the most athletic guys I've seen. He could definitely finish this. And I think Romanov eventually has to take a loss here. And I think this could be it on Saturday. So just a little underdog, high value pick could happen.
Well, certainly happened last week. So
you never know.
Here's to hoping. Beautiful. Well, guys, I think that's it for this week's episode, number 20. Stay tuned here for these 3 exciting interviews coming up next. We've got a special edition episode next week for episode 21. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and hell, let's make a LinkedIn for this shit. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Hook 'em. Next up on the Hudson MMA podcast, we have 8-0 professional fighter. He's going to be fighting on the Dana White Contender Series at the end of the month. Mariusz, the Iron Pole Ksiazkiewicz. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. So we were just chatting there. You grew up, or you were born in Germany, and then you moved over to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, when you were 2 years old. So I guess, why did you move over there, and then how was life growing up in Manitoba?
Yeah, so I'm Polish. My parents are Polish, so they escaped Poland during the communist regime, and they just wanted a better life. And so they pretty much hitchhiked to Germany. We're living in like a refugee camps, and I was born in Germany, lived there 2 years. Within 2 years, we got sponsored to move here to Canada, and I've been living in Winnipeg ever since. So Winnipeg's my home. I have zero memory or recollection of Germany or Poland or any of that.
Have you been back over there since, or?
I've been to Poland once, and that was a year ago. And I went there just to train. It was just like a training trip for a month.
Okay. So I had a chance, a little bit off topic, but I had a chance to live in Germany, in Winnipeg, 10 hours north of Winnipeg, actually, in a place outside of Thompson, just for 1 year of teaching. So I did get to live in Manitoba for a year and enjoy the hunting and fishing up that way. So
I've never been that far up north, but yeah, that's another world out there.
It is another world for sure. But yeah, so just explain, what gym you're at now, who your coaches are, who's in your corner, and some of the best training partners you have that push you every day.
So, training out of WAMA, Winnipeg Academy of Mixed Martial Arts. I also do my boxing out of United Boxing Club. Yeah, so my head coach, Curtis Brigham.
He's a former featherweight, correct? Or a little bit of bantamweight as well?
Yeah, he's fought in like every weight class. Like he fought before they had weigh-ins, so I'm sure he's fought some light heavyweights and some middleweights, as a featherweight. But yeah, he was his last 2 fights, I believe, were at bantamweight.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's my head coach. Right now during this whole pandemic, I've got Lindsey Hawks running my camp. He was a 55er and a welterweight.
Okay.
When he was active, he was fairly high ranked.
Yeah, I definitely know the name. I don't know a lot of fights that he's had, but
he fought John Makdessi,
okay.
Lorenzi, Joe Kisick, Elmer Waterhen.
Yeah.
Fought a lot of guys. I think he had about 20 pro fights.
Awesome.
So he's actually one of my main training partners. He actually stepped up during this pandemic, and he's been there training with me every day. Holding pads, running my my workouts for me and all that. I've also got Vitaly Romankov. He's my boxing coach. He moved to Manitoba, I think, like 8 years ago from Kazakhstan. He used to run a program out of Triple G's gym in Kazakhstan. So he's a very high-level boxer. Who else? Other than that,
I only asked just because Winnipeg. Do you ever see Joe Dirksen around anywhere or no?
Yeah. He's actually so he lives in Brandon right now, which is about 2 hours away from Winnipeg. So every once in a while he drives in and we get a chance to train together. Actually we're meeting up this weekend to train together.
Awesome. He came up to that reserve where I was teaching and did a few sessions with the kids up there. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and I actually got to roll on the mat with him for a few minutes. That's my my fame 3 minutes on the mat with Joe Dirksen.
Yeah. So I've been training with Joe. I've been training with Lindsay, Lee Gaudette. Who else? I can't even. Oh, Finn McKager Higgins. He's a 4-time national wrestling champ. Mo Assam. I've got like a good group of about 8 guys that we're meeting up and regularly training, and they're helping me out for this fight here.
Awesome. So you have 8 pro fights and 7 by finish. So obviously the percentage wise, it's pretty high up there. Does that speak to your game plans usually, or just how you are pedigree wise as a fighter, or what do you designate that?
I would say like I'm very, very like calculative the way I fight, but at the same time, if I see an opportunity, I just go for it. I can, make the calculation in my head whether it's worth it or not. So, it just happens. I end up punching a guy, lift their neck up, and I end up choking them out. It's just my style. I like to inflict a little bit of pain, cause a little panic, and then I go for the finish.
I like it. So next question, this could be for a variety of reasons, but you have 2 fights in 4 years. If we look at a guy like Nick Diaz, he has 1 fight in 7 years and he's coming back to fight. Everybody's got their own reasons why. Could be injuries, could be just trying to get better at certain areas. Maybe you have work or family or whatever it may be. Just for you being as active as you were before that, what's, I guess, your reasoning for the 2 fights in 4 years? I mean, it's going to work out at the end of the month here, but.
Yeah. That's just the way it happened. Like it wasn't like my choice to barely be fighting. Like,
I guess fights falling through is another one.
fights fall through so much in Canada. It's unbelievable, especially in this part of the country. And it's a little different in like the Edmonton region and the Vancouver region, but like majority parts of Canada, like, there aren't any local shows. In Winnipeg, for example, there's no local show.
Yeah.
One might come in, one every 2 years, one every 3 years, and you'd be lucky if the commission approves a matchup for you. It's just,
that's our biggest problem in Ontario. Like we have some decent cards once in a while, but the commission is just tough to get past.
yeah. So it's not that, hey, I tell my coach, hey, I want to fight once this year. It's like, no, like, I think every year since I turned a pro, so I've been a pro for 9 years now, I'm like, yeah, let's get like at least 3 this year.
Yeah.
And that it's just never happened, So it's just, I think it's just the situation in Canada. If you don't have a local promotion, you're not gonna rack up those fights,
No, I agree. So yeah, I guess that would be your reasoning then. Just yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, looking forward to the end of the month. So you're fighting Mariusz Souza, Dana White Contender Series, September 29th. I watch every Tuesday as well, so I got that recording right now. So in, I guess, 3 weeks time, 3 weeks, yeah, 3 weeks time, you'll be fighting, right?
Yeah.
So what do you know about Mariusz Souza? And how do you feel moving towards this fight?
You know what? I know he's extremely tall. He's taller than I am. I'm like 6'3", 6'4", and he's an inch or two taller than me.
Yeah.
Looking at his fights, I haven't watched too many. I've watched like his 3 most recent ones, and judging by his style, he's more of a striker. He's got some offense off his back, but I'm on another level on the ground. Like I've been training jiu-jitsu since 2005, 2006, almost on a daily basis. It's just my ground game is on a different level than even a lot of guys in the UFC.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly confident with this matchup.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. After a fight, what do you like to do for fun for you to kind of celebrate? Something that's a hobby of yours.
Yeah, after partying.
Yeah, after partying.
No, yeah, I don't know. Like I just like to spend time with family.
Yeah.
Like during camps, like I like to isolate myself and not just pretty much be alone and just with my coaches and my training partners and just focus and train. So after a fight, I like to catch up on missed time and appreciate the small things.
I feel like I'd want to be either a fly on the wall or there with you the night after you fight in Vegas on the Tuesday. That could be a fun night. Yeah. So last segment here.
Hopefully the bars are open in Vegas.
Yeah, I hope so too. For your sake. Between rounds is our last segment. So 1 minute, I'm gonna ask you a question. There'll be a couple different answers for you. Okay.
Okay.
You just got to pick the one that's suited for you, I guess. Your favorite food.
Pizza.
Favorite sport other than MMA.
Fuck, I don't know.
Party?
Yeah, beer pong? No.
Okay.
We'll say like, I don't know. I like watching boxing.
Okay.
I don't know. I like combat sports. I'm not really into like team sports or anything like that. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you rather camp or stay in a hotel?
I'd rather camp.
Me too. Your favorite getaway spot, either in Manitoba or somewhere else in Canada?
Probably Banff.
Banff? Yeah, I've been there too. Good spot. What about in Germany? I guess you haven't been back. So Poland, I guess then.
Poland. So when I was there, I was in a city called Szczecin. which is probably 160 kilometers away from Berlin. I liked it there a lot. I definitely go back there. I was actually planning to do my camp there, but because of this whole, Corona thing, it just, fell through.
Yeah, of course. What about Canada, Poland, or other for a country? Is there another country maybe that's your favorite out of those three?
You know what? I fought in Alaska once, and I thought that was like the most beautiful place I've ever been to.
Okay.
So, if after I'm done fighting, if the opportunities was there, like I wouldn't mind like, buying a cabin out there in the middle of nowhere or something.
Sounds good to me. Favorite genre of movies?
Comedy.
And do you have a favorite comedy of all time?
Step Brothers.
Okay. Top 5 MMA fighters of all time. Who do you think's in that top 5? You don't have to rate number 1 to 5, but any weight class, just pound for pound.
Fedor. John Jones. George St. Pierre. Nick Diaz. I'm not sure. Not sure who else.
The Iron Pole.
The Iron Pole, number 5.
September 29th, who wins and how?
I'm winning that fight. Either in the first or second, that's my prediction. It's going to be by finish. Either, I'm going to punch him until he, gives something up and I submit him, or he's just going to curl up and that'll be it.
Make him tread water and then sink him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Any sponsors, shout outs, or social media?
Yeah, sponsors. So I'm sponsored by Snap Fitness South in Winnipeg here. So I want to thank Shannon and Joel for that sponsorship. Beat It Canada, Lactigo, Gorilla Jacks, who else? Capital Steel. And then I want to give a shout out to, just like I got a new like strength conditioning coach for this camp, and he's really been there like pretty much for every session, recording everything. So I want to give him a shout out to Cole Vincent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we really appreciate you having on. We're really looking forward to the end of the month, September 29th at the Apex in Las Vegas. Mario Souza is going to get finished by the 8-0 Polish from Germany, living in Winnipeg, Canada, Mariusz the Iron Pole Ksiazkiewicz. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Hooks in MMA. Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we're lucky to have 11-5 bantamweight. He's currently in the UFC. He's fought once, and he's got a big fight coming up on November 7th against Felipe Colares. Gustavo Lopez, how's it going today?
Doing great, man. Feeling amazing. Pretty excited for this fight. So our full camp in the UFC. So I'm excited to just showcase my skills.
Yeah, we're excited for that fight too. So you were born, I believe, in Washington. Just wondering how that was growing up. Any hobbies that you had when you were a kid?
Just being outdoors. A lot of hunting, fishing, and then just got into wrestling when I was younger, and then just kept at it. Joined Yakima MMA. That's where I met Brian Carraway and Misha Tate, and just got with them and just kept working my way up.
Yeah, so I hunt and fish myself. What did you do when you were younger?
Bass fishing, and trout. Most of the two things were out there.
What gym are you currently at? The coaches you have, and then some of the training partners you have that push you every day?
Currently, right now, I'm working out of Extreme Couture and at a 10 Planet here in Henderson. And then just training at the PI with Bo for my strength conditioning.
Okay.
Bunch of teammates. like I said, Cody Stamen's one of the guys there. Joe Benavidez, bunch of up and coming guys, and just I got a handful of just great teammates, just making me better, man. I really appreciate them. It's exciting to have everybody.
Awesome. Yeah. So obviously 2020 has been a bit of a whirlwind, right? So there wasn't live sports on. So I was watching a lot of old fights, and I was watching Combate one day, and I already knew who you were, but they're doing this big intro on you're fighting Joey Rouquette, I think his name was.
Yes.
And they were going back and talking about your original fight, and then you fought him for a second time. And I watched that fight, an amazing performance. But the crazy part was just this guy had like a hard on for you or something. He felt like he needed to avenge that loss or something. And
yeah,
just curious about that rematch and why it was so kind of outrageous.
I think he really thought that like the first fight, like he took it in a short notice, and like I just out-grappled him and stuff. I'm not sure what it was. He definitely wasn't happy about it. He's like, and he was doing good after that fight. He ended up winning a bunch of his fights, got to be able to challenge me for the title, and then didn't work out so well.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed that fight, obviously, because it was really exciting and there was a good build-up. But then you got the call pretty close after, right, for the UFC. So, you fought Merab Dvalishvili, who's obviously been on a win streak here, but it was kind of a short notice fight for you too, I believe, right? So
yeah,
how was that experience?
It was different. It was like it was unexpected for sure. I was out literally mountain biking that morning, and then when I got home, I got the call like, "Hey, do you want to fight? You want to fight in the UFC?" And I'm like, "Yes." Hands down, like it really didn't like I don't think he's told me who was gonna fight at the moment. I'm like, yes, let's do it. Check my weight. I was 157, so 23 pounds to make 35 at the time, and I'm like, I'll make it. So we just started cutting, and later I found out who I'm fighting, and it wasn't even a concern. It wasn't like, oh, what he did. Like we had no time to worry about that. We just cut the weight. Make his way in. All right, cool. Let's get in a fist fight.
Not that you you got even time to worry about it, but you had heard of him before, and did you know much about him, his style?
No, literally not at all. We just knew he was a tough fighter. He knew he could wrestle, and he definitely can. Strong guy. Got to meet him a little bit afterwards. Nice dude. It just he's on a tear right now. He's actually fighting Cody Stamen coming up, in December. And I feel now with a game plan, Cody's gonna do very well. Cody could wrestle. Cody could move well. It's gonna be a good fight for him. I think Cody's gonna just cement where he belongs, like in the top.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, on November 7th, you fight Felipe Corrales. Do you know anything about him and how his training been going for that fight?
Training been going great. I really don't know much about him other than he's a good jiu-jitsu and a Muay Thai fighter. Very long. So we've just been working on making sure we get in the pocket and we just fight. We had certain game plans that we're gonna just work on, and just it's been going great actually. Conditioning been going amazing with my strength conditioning coach, and we're actually doing everything we need to do. I'm excited. It's just the last two fights before the one with the Merab, I had two full camps, and I performed well, very well. Won my world title with Combate, defended it. So things, with that kind of preparation, I feel I'm very unstoppable. So I'm excited to showcase those skills actually in the UFC.
Absolutely. What do you like to do after fights? Do you like getting away, eating certain food, drinking, whatever? What do you like to do?
A little bit of everything. I planning on going to visit my family up in Washington. A bunch of my nieces always message me how I'm doing, when I'm going to come visit. So I'm definitely going to go take some time and spend time with them.
Cool. Any hobbies or activities or a family life that you do besides training and fighting?
No. Certain hobby, like families are all in Washington. So literally I'm in Vegas just to fight. I wake up in the morning, get my workout on, train all day, get home, and then, lately I'm trying to go to bed early, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I'm already in bed by 7, trying to pass out pretty soon. So I get my full rest for the next day because we're just hitting it hard, and my body just needs the recovery.
Yeah, for sure.
But hobbies, we've been starting mountain biking a lot. A bunch of friends, Jay Haran from the Extreme Tour got me into mountain biking, so we just started riding a lot before the quarantine. Haven't done it since because it's dangerous.
Yep.
Beforehand, we had a couple of falls, and it's just close to like when you're about to get in a fight, you kind of just ease off of that, and just even when I get back, I'm gonna go pretty easy, make sure you don't get hurt. But it's just, mountain biking is super exciting. You're out there, you don't realize you're working out so hard, but gets you a good push.
Get a good rush too. Our last segment between rounds, so I'm going to ask you a question. There'll be a couple of answers, okay?
Good thing.
Favorite food to eat?
Pasta. Pizza.
One of those, both?
Oh, big in food. So a lot of carbs.
Favorite sport other than MMA?
Wrestling.
Favorite getaway spot in the United States?
Washington State.
And what about another country other than the States? What's the best country you've been to?
I haven't traveled that much, but I've been to Mexico a couple of times, and I absolutely love it. Planning on wanting to go to Tulum and Cancun for a minute, and then when I'm there, I want to go visit my grandparents up in Puerto Vallarta.
That'd be cool. Favorite type of music?
Hip hop.
Do you have a favorite artist?
Not really. Just bouncing around with a bunch of different ones. Really into just kind of everything. Listen to just everything that vibes well.
Yeah. What about favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time. There's some good ones. Recently, I haven't watched any movies, but I think a bunch of the Rocky movies or the Too Fast, Too Furious movies is just excitement for me.
Yeah. What do you who do you think wins between Purion and Sterling if that happens?
Ooh. I'm going for Purion because it's part of the Ruby management, but Sterling's a tough dude. He's been at Extreme for the past month and a half. I think he moved to Vegas, so I think he's trying to find a home. So Sterling's actually a tough dude, so I'm excited actually to watch that.
Yeah, me too. How about Colares and Lopez on November 7th, and how?
I think Colares. Lopez, I've seen a little bit of his stuff. He's a tough dude. I wanted to both go for Lopez, but that guy's good. He's quick. He's fast. Young up-and-comer. I'm excited for him to see him grow.
Really, really happy to have you here. Just to finish off, any sponsors, shout-outs, or social media?
And I just, follow, for all your fans, follow me on all my social medias, Gustavo Lopez. Big shout out to Real Water. They've been supporting me and just taking care of me for the longest time. So appreciate them.
Well, we appreciate you. We're looking forward to November 7th. You're fighting, you got to remember his name again, Felipe Colares.
Yeah, I have trouble with his name too. I just call him Felipe.
You're going to
matter. We're going to get through him and continue.
Absolutely. So we really, really appreciate your time, Gustavo Lopez. This is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we have 11-5 BTC fighter from currently from Hamilton, Ontario, but originally from Mississauga, Ontario. Hansome Scott Hudson. How's it going today, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, thanks. Where are you coming from? You coming from training or work or?
Just coming from the gym right now, man. On my way back home.
How'd the session go tonight?
Fantastic as always, man. Training's good.
Is there a specific focus on like a Tuesday? Is it like a wrestling or is it stand up or?
just because of COVID, our schedule is all out of whack, so it's kind of nothing's really set in stone. But we did jiu-jitsu today.
Okay. So yeah, you have an 11-5 record, won 4 in a row. Just curious on what got you into MMA. What started you out? What discipline maybe caught your eye, and then how it evolved from there?
I got into boxing when I was a teenager because I was just lifting weights at a Premier Fitness, and Steve Molitor, who's a pretty prominent boxer, or who was a pretty prominent boxer at the time, just walked into the gym with his coach and started using space in the aerobic studio. And I saw them training, and this went on for months and months and months, and finally, got up the nerve to go over there and ask if I could train or, point me in the right direction. And that was sort of my introduction to boxing. And I did that recreationally for a bit. I was really into MMA, obviously, and Muay Thai, and I trained at a couple gyms around town, and started to get my feet wet in training. And I went to Thailand when I was pretty green, and I ended up staying out there for 4 or 5 months and getting a handful of fights under my belt while I was relatively inexperienced. And I think that was pretty important. But that's pretty much my introduction. Trial by fire, I guess. Yeah,
well, there's not a better guy to get looped in than Steve Molitor. I'm a big fan of his too. And when you're getting belts when you're maybe not as experienced as you are now, it's kind of a hook in.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so just wondering who your coaches are, or who's in your corner, who's specialized in your corner for a specific discipline.
So I do my striking with Lyndon Whitlock. He's my longtime coach. Me and him have been working together for a long time. I do my jiu-jitsu with his partner, Roy McDonald. Again, longtime coach. Those two have been working together for a long time, and I've been with them for years. And my wrestling coach is Chris Prickett. Pretty well-known wrestling guy in Canada and, internationally as well. And my other buddy, Lucas Shaston, is, sort of fills in the gaps there.
Yeah.
Helps out a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, you know Gavin Hesson, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he mentioned Prickett and said some really good things about him. And I know about Lyndon too, because I went to high school with him. He's been a diehard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was a year or two older than me, but when Gavin came in and taught some submission wrestling, that's kind of what hooked in Lyndon, and then they became pretty good friends after. So you got some good guys in your corner, that's for sure.
I do.
Just curious on a couple of the most challenging training partners that you have. So people that push you to the limits every day, guys that make you better as an MMA fighter.
We've got a pretty tough room. The people that I train with on a regular basis, I have some good training partners, that are less experienced than me, that are really hungry and always kind of help me elevate my level. I train with Kyrie Cameron every day, Bobby Poulter. Those guys are a little bit more my size. Anthony Romero a little bit, and good guys like Kyle Nelson. We're pretty lucky to have people coming and going through our doors who are super, super high level. I'm sure I'm missing a ton of people, but everybody on the team at Para, Siri City, I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing I'm missing a whole bunch of people, but
that's
always tough rounds. You know how it is.
Yeah, you mentioned some pretty good guys. I mean, Kyle Nelson's overseas right now, hoping to get a late fight call. Kyron Cameron and Siri City are both up and coming guys. Anthony Romero's got a contender series fight in a month. You're rolling around with some pretty slick guys. Just quickly wanted to talk about the Kyle Prepelic fight. What was learned from that fight, because I think you're 6-1 in your last 7 or 5-1 in your last 6, but you learn from fights like that against guys that are experienced, and he did make it to the UFC for a couple of fights. What's learned from that and then has led to this 4-fight win streak?
Okay, yeah. So fighting Kyle, a lot of people don't know this, but I requested to fight Kyle. Like, I had an opportunity, you know, to be in tight with the promotion and call my own shots a little bit. And I requested to fight Kyle because they wanted to sort of get, you know, a new division going that was in between lightweight and welterweight. And, yeah, it was for a title. I thought that he was, you know, a good fight for me. You know, really well experienced, really well respected Canadian fighter, and I was trying to propel myself up, and you know, I felt like he was the next guy in line that I had to take out. And what I learned from that fight is, you know, I prepared a ton for that fight. I was in great shape. Everything went well. Sometimes you zig when you should have zagged, and you know, like Kyle's a great fighter. If you make mistakes against him, he's gonna make you pay for them, and that's what he did. You know, you know, you fuck up a little bit, and a guy like Kyle has the ability to put you away if you do that. But I mean, everything else was great. Like I can't point to anything else that, you know, led to that loss other than, you know, he put together a great fight. You know, like I said, I zigged when I should have zagged, and that was it. But I mean, what I did learn is that everything can go right, and you can still lose. So don't sweat the small stuff. All you can do is prepare and go out there and fight your ass off, and whatever will be, will be.
That's a great way to put it. I only bring it up literally because I believe, you know, I play a lot of sports throughout my life, and I still do. And you learn from losses. You pick out, you know, some small things that came from it, and you build on that. So there's a reason why you've won 4 in a row, and that's what you want to do, right? You build on it and you grow. I was going to ask you about just the catch weights because you did talk about, you know, a new division and stuff. Just curious, lightweight or welterweight, what's your preferred division?
It depends, man. Like, lightweight's getting harder and harder. Like, I'm putting a little bit of muscle on. It's getting, I'm not like gaining any weight necessarily, but the weight doesn't come off the same way that it used to, right?
Yeah.
I think my last handful of fights have been a super lightweight. Like my last bunch before I went up from lightweight. But it's just easier on my body. It makes it easier to train. I'm sure I still could make lightweight. It's just kind of it's more in the preparation. The difference is that some of like the more experienced higher level welterweights that I train with, they're just bigger than me. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of an in-betweener where I might not be big enough for the elite at welterweight, but making weight for 155 is difficult, but I'll never, ever be at a size or strength disadvantage at lightweight.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if I fight at welterweight, the training's probably going to be better. It's more comfortable for me. My quality of life is better. And, you know, if the right fight came up at welterweight, I'll take it at welterweight. If the right fight comes up at, you know, lightweight, I'll take it at lightweight. And the good thing about super lightweight is that there's a lot of guys who are in between. That's a 15-pound jump in between weight classes, which really is, it seems pretty unreasonable, right? 15 pounds is a lot. 20 pounds is a lot. All the other divisions have 10 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a kind of a good spot for me to hang out, and I can, you know, if there's a good lightweight that wants to fight at super lightweight, great. If there's a guy who is a 170er who can make 165, fantastic.
Yeah, I think we could split the gap, and they've talked for a couple of years, just UFC wise, of creating that middle division, right?
I think it's crazy that it's not there yet. It's coming, for sure. It's coming.
No, I 100% agree with you. Even if you know, we project a little further, if Khabib beats Gaethje, I could see Khabib coming back for one more fight and fighting GSP at like a 165 catch weight. So there's a ton of guys that can fit in that area, and you fit in good, and I think that's a good thing. That makes you more versatile.
But if you create a division, it doesn't have to be a catchweight.
No, exactly.
You can just make 165 super lightweight, welterweight 175. Boom, you cleared those gaps. Do a 195 weight class that I can call it cruiserweight.
Yep, you fixed all the problems.
That's what doing boxing. Boom, a couple more champions. It's easy.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. And then they got to definitely fix that 205 light heavyweight and 265 heavyweight. There's got to be something between that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. Just curious, BTC Fight Promotion. So you've been with them for a while. Your last, bunch of fights have been there. You have a 4-fight win streak, as I mentioned before, with them. 2 guillotine chokes. Just wondering how it's been under that platform and how that's kind of built you for future success.
It's been great. Like, the time really has flown. I think it's been 3 years that they've been operational. It's great. Like, they're building something really special. It's nice that I can have the ability to fight so close to home in front of like my hometown fans and family and friends and whatnot. Not have to travel for fights, because I've been literally all over the world to compete. And it's good to build something back up in a province that definitely has the market for it. And BTC really does it right. They treat their fighters well. They treat me really well, and I'm happy to represent. And I'm really proud to be one of their champions.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Back in the day when I was watching, I think my buddy Josh Hill, he was fighting in like Score Fighting series and things like that. But obviously that went to the side, and BTC's kind of progressed into pretty successful business. So that's good that benefits guys like you and Adam and a few other guys. Just wanted to talk about the Jarrell Askew fight. Dominant performance. I wasn't able to get out to that card, but I did stream it online. It was complete performance. And how can that win there put you forward to something bigger?
Well, before that fight, I came close to getting on a UFC card as a short notice fighter, but they decided to go with somebody else. And I figured, take one more fight, really put a stamp on it against a good experienced fighter from the States, and then I would be there for sure. I had the opportunity to fight in February, but I decided to sit it out and wait for a bigger fight, and I could have never predicted what was coming.
No kidding.
Now I'm just having to sit out and wait, and there's kind of like a backlog in all the major promotions, so I'm not really sure how this is going to play out. If something happens and I got to come up on short notice, I'm going to be ready. But I think everybody, or for the bulk of the fighters in North America, actually in the world, are sort of just sitting back waiting, because those spots to get on cards and actually compete are going to be pretty scarce, let alone at the top, where there's a lot of competition to try to get in there right now. So it's not looking good. But if I got to fight one other time or a couple more times, then it is what it is. If I can get on Contender Series or something like that, I'll do that as well.
Yep.
Whereas if you would have asked me last year, I would have looked at that as almost like a step down.
Yeah, which that's really unfortunate to hear from, a guy that's on the up like you have been the last couple of years. We hope something comes soon. And, people have been getting the call. I guess the problem is, being overseas for 4 fight cards for the UFC at Fight Island, they kind of, I'm sure they, like you said, it's scarce. They're few and far between, but hopefully something pops up soon.
I hope so.
Last segment here between rounds. So I'm going to ask you a question. There's going to be one of 2 answers, I guess. It'd be 1 minute. Are you ready to go for that?
I'm ready, man.
All right. What do you prefer, burgers, wings, or pizza?
Pizza.
What's your favorite topping?
Pepperoni.
Seafood fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite seafood?
Fish tacos.
Nice. Fighting in Canada or elsewhere?
Canada.
Are you a rock music fan, country music fan, or other?
Other.
What's your other?
Hip hop.
Nice. Burlington, Toronto, or are you an up north kind of guy?
Up north.
Me too. Favorite part of that choice would be up north. Where would be your destination if you had to go?
Kirkland Lake. It's where my family's from.
Kirkland Lake, 8 hours away?
Yes, sir.
Been there before. Great place. Training or fighting?
Training.
Beach guy or water sports guy?
Beach guy.
Grappling or striking?
Striking.
Knockout or submission?
Knockout.
Who wins in a rematch, Hudson or Prepelic?
Hudson.
And who's better looking, Josh Hill, Adam Asenza, or the handsome Scott Hudson?
Handsome Scott Hudson.
That's
nice try.
Hands down. All right. Any sponsors?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Kamur, where my longtime sponsors always have my back. So anytime I get a chance to, say the name, I'm going to say it.
Awesome. We appreciate you taking the time. I know it's, coming from training and, busy time trying to get that call. We hope that happens soon. This is Hansome Scott Hudson, and this is Hooks in MMA. Thank you so much, Scott.
You're welcome, brother.
Thank you.
Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, yeah.